Hi, I'm Pav.
And I'm Neil.
And welcome to the Top 10 of Anything podcast.
Let's start the countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The golden age of cinema, where movie stars were mysterious, elegant, and classy. The images on the silver screen would engage and entertain as cinema grew in sophistication from its infancy into a thriving, bustling business. Hooray for Hollywood as we celebrate classic movies. And here is our own fact hunter Neil with 10 facts about classic black and white movies.
Thank you very much, Pav. So here we go. The Great Train Robbery in 1903, starring Bronco Billy Anderson, is considered the first black and white movie.
Not mouse, never mouse. If anything, rat.
The last black and white movie to win the Best Picture Oscar before Schindler's List was The Apartment in 1960.
Children of the night.
Silver nitrate stock, on which most silent black and white movies was shot, produced a shimmering, otherworldly quality, seeming to set the screen on fire.
I could have been a contender.
Unfortunately, because of silver nitrate was rather unstable, it could also set the projector, the booth, and the theatre on fire, and that its projection is now illegal in all but a handful of cinemas.
He's looking at you, kid.
Citizen Kane is often cited as the greatest black and white movie ever, but did you know Wells' caffeine consumption, an odd dietary routine, impacted his health during production?
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
The studio didn't initially want Dr. Strangelove in black and white, but Kubrick convinced them it would give it a film noir look.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Good timing, good timing.
The black and white movie Ecstasy from 1933, starring Hedy Lamarr, was the first movie to both have a sex scene and feature nudity, although not at the same time. In the golden era of film, it was cheaper to film in black and white. It is now more expensive to film in black and white.
Boop, boopy doop.
Todd Browning's 1932 Freaks movie was banned in the UK for over 30 years.
Boop, boopy doop.
And the most expensive black and white movie ever made was 1925's Ben-Hur. It cost $4 million, which in today's money is about $68 million.
Boop, boopy doop.
And there we are.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Classic black and white movies. Now, before I introduce the guest who was responsible for this subject, the caveat is that it's pre-1967. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of our lovely Patreon toppers. Will you welcome Jen? Yay! Finally. Now, we went through this, didn't we, Jen, when we were sorting out this, that we wanted to do it 1967. And what was the reason for 1967?
1967 was the last year the Oscars awarded two different awards for cinematography, color and black and white.
Right. So we were putting that as the line in the sand.
I know. I had to cut it off somewhere because it's already so many.
As you will know, I've got loads of honorable mentions to mention a little bit later on. So this podcast could go on for well over 2 hours just to talk about everybody's ones that they've sent in. So yeah, 1967 and before. So we won't have things like The Artist. We won't have Clerks. We won't have Schindler's List or any of those kind of movies. We've got a lot to get through. So, Jen, I mean, before we go into that, you're obviously a fan of classic black and white movies. Is that your favorite?
I just love movies, but I think I grew up on the old black and white. So yeah. I mean, that back in the day when you had to set the VCR and they would be on in the middle of the night, and you'd have to figure out how to put that in. So you'd wake up and I'd put like 3 movies on one tape and they looked terrible, but I didn't care.
VCR kids was these little blocks with tape that you would have to feed into this machine. It was crazy. It was a crazy, wonderful times though. Right, Jen, kick us off with your number 10. Okay.
So this, I can't say I've watched it over and over because it's kind of a difficult watch, but I did rewatch it recently, and I feel a lot of these other movies would not exist without M. Fritz Lang from 1931.
It's been a long time since I've seen that one. A long time.
And it is still terrifying. It's so unsettling. And I don't think we'd have crime dramas or true crime or courtroom scenes. I mean, there's so many things that were groundbreaking in that movie that I think, you can see its influence in lots and lots of films. So that was, and I had a film noir class at university, and I did a paper on Fritz Lang. And the one thing I remember, does you guys know what it's about? I guess I should say.
Yeah, I mean, I probably should, but I don't know.
Well, it's about a child murderer. So it's,
Nice.
It's not exactly a laugh riot. It's very atmospheric and creepy. And Fritz Lang, there was a lot of innovative style things he did. There was like a 4-minute tracking shot, which is crazy for 1931. Peter Lorre plays the murderer, and M is for murderer. And so it's these stories interweave. So the cops are looking for him, and like the criminal underworld are both looking for him at the same time. And I remember I did a paper on Fritz Lang in college on the movie The Big Heat. And for some reason, I remember, because back when we went to the library and had to do our research, Fritz Lang saying in an interview that he always showed violence. He never showed the violence on screen because he felt that what would be most terrifying to you is different than what's most terrifying to me.
Right.
So it was always off screen. And this is, yes. And that's very obvious in this. It's just, it's scary. It's scary.
I've realized on doing my top 10 and also looking at the people's honorable mentions that I class myself as a movie buff, but I haven't seen a load of these movies that a lot of people have mentioned. And I think I need to delve back into like black and white movies without a shadow of a doubt. And that looks like a good one to start with. I've just looked at the trailer as we were watching it. It doesn't look nice to watch at all. It looks very unsettling.
And the scene at the end when it's like a mob. They all confront. They catch Peter Lorre, and he does this monologue. It's just so you almost feel bad for a child murderer. It's like you're just like, how do I feel bad for him? He's a monster. But it's really intense. Yeah.
Can you remember much about it, Neil? Have you?
It's been a long time. I'll tell you when I watched it. This will be for UK listeners. It's Mark Cousins used to do a movie drome on BBC Two. God, this would have been early 90s, probably even in the late 80s. And that's when I watched it last. So it's a long time ago.
Okay.
But yeah, it was one of those ones that was a must watch. You need to see it. It was part of the list that I had given to me. So yes, I did watch it. I haven't seen it since.
Okay. Nice, solid start there about a child murderer. Great. Let's crack on. Start as we mean to go on. Go on then, Neil, you're number 10.
So it's an old classic. It's an Orson Welles film. It's The Third Man. This one is one of those ones that the first watch I ever gave of this sort of slow brooding mystery of a film, I didn't appreciate what it is, apart from the soundtrack, which is very much an earworm. Once you hear it, you won't get it out your way. Then I rediscovered it probably about 10 years ago, and then it became a staple that anybody that would ask me a black and white film, an old classic, this is one of the ones that I would always give them to. And I think it's probably Orson Welles. Yeah, I'm going to go out there. Apart from the obvious one of Orson Welles, it's his best performance he ever gave. Not that he's in it that much. I don't know whether either of you have
Barely
seen this
10
one.
minutes.
Yeah,
Barely
but
10 minutes.
you don't forget him when you see him, do you? Let's put it
Now
that way. In this
that's my
movie.
number 4.
Oh, that's your number 4. Okay. Now, is the third man? Is that the ding, 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 ding?
That's the one. Yeah.
Their music.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. That's another movie. I mean, that 2 movies been mentioned, and I've not seen either of them.
Well,
So
you're in
what
for
a
treat.
movie buff I am. I have not even seen. I've seen clips of the third man, but I've not
Yeah.
seen it all the way through.
Yeah.
So, and to just show you how terrible I am at this, my number 10 is Psycho, which obviously should be a lot higher than.
That's my number 2.
That's your number 2, is it, Neil? See what I mean? Obviously, it's the I word that we try not to say very much here. It's iconic. It's been there's so many bits of it that have been copied. I love The Simpsons, that is almost shot for shot, like the shower scene. Never understood why. Was it Gus Van Sant that did
It was Gus Van Sant. He did a shot for shot remake and
with
then added bits in.
Who was it? It was
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn.
Anne Heche.
Yeah. Oh, and Anne Heche's butthole. Yeah.
That's it. That's the one.
Just if you're listening, just Google that, or maybe don't. Maybe don't Google that. Maybe you shouldn't. Yeah.
Just watch the movie, I guess.
Yeah. Just watch the movie. Just watch the movie. But yeah, it's very Anthony Perkins, very unsettling. And when I watched it, I was surprised at just how graphic it is, because you always think black and white movies are quite. Then they're not as bad as, you know, up-to-date movies in regards to gore and just what you see on the screen. I mean, you're saying about M, where a lot of it is off the screen. A lot of that is on the screen, and it's very unsettling and very
it changed modern horror, basically. I think that is the film that can be contributed to changing the way that directors made horror, filmed horror. That and
the soundtrack is
it's. I mean, it's got one of those.
One chord of that violin, and you're just like, oh.
You only have to hear that, and you know exactly. It's perfect, absolutely perfect. So it had to be in the top 10, but it's unfortunately
it's a fantastic movie. It really is.
Yeah,
and it really does hold up. I watched it recently with the restoration. They showed it on one of the streaming channels, and I watched it again. And after that 4K restoration that it's there, well, I assume it's a 4K. It was just amazing, absolutely amazing.
Did either of you watch any of the sequels?
Yes, I've seen 2 and 3, and then I gave up. 2 was bloody awful, wasn't it?
3 seemed to be more like hinting on comedy.
I think it was.
What's the story in 3? Where
didn't he go back? Honestly, he went back to the motel, didn't he? I think
Norman does.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Anthony Perkins again, but it's when he had that resurgence in like the 80s. You know, he did that Ken Russell movie and things like that, and then he sort of came back for a bit, didn't he?
Yeah, it's very strange. Very strange. Go on then, Jen. You're number 9, please.
Okay. So if I may tell a little anecdote to introduce this, I used to work. I'm in Pittsburgh, but I used to work in Hollywood, and we were on the Universal lot, and which was super cool. And one of the executives there went and toured the archives, the film archives, and I was very jealous because they have old props and costumes, and they had the original drawings of the Psycho house, because that's on the Universal lot. You can see on the tour. And when he came back, I said, oh my gosh, tell me what you saw. Tell me what you saw. And he is not someone you'd want on your trivia team. He's like, well, they had that briefcase. What briefcase? That famous briefcase. I don't know what you're talking. You know, it's that famous movie with that briefcase. It's really famous. You have to give me more than that. I don't think there's a famous movie without a briefcase. Like, you know, it's that briefcase with the guy who wears glasses. Did you figure it out?
I lost.
No.
Oh, it hit me. And the movie he's talking about with the famous briefcase is To Kill a Mockingbird with Gregory Peck.
Oh, right.
Okay, well, that makes sense. That's in my honorables. It was in my top 10.
Yes.
But as I explained to Pav, I had to drop it out because it's been such a long time since I've seen it.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be fresh in the mind of everything that was in the movie.
Yes.
But what a film.
Oh. In 1961, Gregory Peck won the Oscar. The screenplay won Horton Foote. I think, the casting is perfection. And, I'd never tell someone, oh, don't read the book, just see the movie. I'll allow it on this one. It's probably one of the best adaptations of a novel that I can't think of another one. That's my number 9.
And what a performance by Gregory Peck. What a performance, isn't it?
I wonder how many people were inspired to become lawyers.
Yeah. Yeah.
After that movie.
Is one of those, I've said iconic so many times, but iconic performances, isn't it? It's one of those ones you see him dressed as Atticus Finch, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you know exactly what movie that's from.
With his briefcase.
Yeah.
With his briefcase, yeah. Yeah, good one. I know that's in a lot of people's honorable mentions, that one.
Yeah, it really is. It's we're in the realms of these movies are iconic, aren't they? Because of the period they're from. They're all pretty much iconic, but yeah. And that still holds up today really, really well.
Didn't they do a remake of that? Did they do a remake of it? Or
well, it's on Broadway right now with an Aaron Sorkin.
That's right.
Oh, that's right, because it was in the West End as well, yeah.
Yes, that's supposed to. They were like bringing in high school kids for free to see it for free.
Right.
Yeah, so I think it's still on stage. Jeff Daniels, I think, originated the Atticus Finch role.
Oh, right.
So, yeah, it's still very relevant, sadly.
Yes.
Sadly it is.
Yeah.
Go on then, Neil. You're number 9.
So this movie, a lot of people have said, why didn't you pick the sequel? But it's Frankenstein, James Whale's Frankenstein. I prefer the original over The Bride of Frankenstein, much to everybody's disgust, because it was one of the first Universal monster movies that I ever saw. And I fell in love with it. So much so that when I was on holiday in Scotland last year in Edinburgh, they have a Frankenstein pub that is dedicated purely to the movie. The monster himself comes down every hour on his big thing and electric goes around. But I just love the story. I just love the story of Frankenstein when it's done like it's done in the James Whale movie. You feel for the monster. He's the one you feel for. And Dr. Frankenstein isn't quite the arse that he is in the book. He's a bit more human, I think, is the way. And it's just moving, isn't it? I find it very
it's heartbreaking. And I don't even think Boris Karloff could barely move his face.
No. And they were real metal bolts stuck on his neck and everything, weren't they?
It's still just, oh my God, yeah.
I mean, that whole scene with the blind man and and the girl and all of that when the monster's out is just beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time.
Yeah.
When they're playing together by the side of the water and that, it's just, it's so sweet.
Trouble is, I can't watch it without thinking of young Frankenstein. That's the trouble. It's I'm just waiting for the monster to go, putting on the ribs.
Or Marty Feldman.
Nobody. Exactly. And it would put me off. Wanting to see, I just think they're going to start coming out.
I mean, revisit it if you've never watched it. I mean, I'm a fan of the Universal monster movies. I really am. I spent more money than I should have on the Blu-ray collector's box set of them all, and I just rewatching them, and I really, really enjoy them. I don't, yes, they're dated. Of course they are, because they didn't have the effects and everything, but they have that innocent charm about them that modern movies never ever will replicate.
Very good. Okay, my number 9 is a film I only saw for the first time about 2 months ago, but I absolutely loved it, and it's The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. I'd never seen it before, and I'm a massive James Stewart fan. I love James Stewart, and it's a little bit of like one of the older ones, because obviously I love him in It's a Wonderful Life. But this is sort of, what's this? That was 16 years later, and he's a little bit older. And I'd never watched it before. And it's one of those movies, a little bit like a couple of the movies I've got in my top 10. When you watch them, you think, oh my God, that's where that pop culture moment comes from. And that's where that saying comes from that like everybody uses all the time, that quote. And I think the one in The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is at the end where it says something about, I'm going to balls it up now, but it's something like when you have the lie or the legend, you print the legend, something like that.
The legend becomes the truth.
So you print we're all going to butcher it now.
I know which one you mean.
I'll have to find it. But I was just absolutely enthralled by the whole thing. It's just a fantastic movie. And John Wayne, I don't think I'd ever watched a John Wayne movie properly. So I'm looking, apart from True Grit, but obviously that was very old John Wayne. And watching him sort of in his prime doing the legendary John Wayne kind of thing. It's weird because it's like you're looking at it and you think, I've seen photographs of it, I've seen True Grit, but seeing John Wayne like that, it was just a fantastic movie. I can't remember. Lee Marvin is the guy that plays like the brute that comes in and is just an ass to everybody. He's just a complete knob that's just like
he was really good at those parts.
Yeah, but it's just a fantastic movie, and I would stress anybody get a chance to watch it just to give it a watch. And like I say, James Stewart is just fantastic in it, absolutely fantastic in it. So
that's one that I haven't seen.
Have you? My God!
No, I've never seen that one. Not that for want of wanting, if you know what I mean. Just not enough time in the day.
Unbelievable! I can't believe that has happened because that's never happened before. I've seen a film that you haven't.
Yeah, there you go.
Apart from Sonic the Hedgehog, I think that was the only other one.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Go on then, Jen. You're number 8 then, please.
Okay, now that's my first visual aid. This is I'm worried that the young kids today are forgetting about Jimmy Cagney, and I love Yankee Doodle Dandy. That's one of my happy films, and I went through a big James Cagney phase probably in high school and just watch everything. And I like it. It's 1941. It's Michael Curtiz, who also he directed Casablanca and a bunch of stuff. This movie, Jimmy Cagney was probably most famous for these gangster movies of the 30s. Like that's what put Warner Brothers on the map, for these gangster movies. And so that's what he was known for. And you can't take your eyes off him when he shows up on the screen. And this movie, I wanted to make sure I got a musical, and that's not as much to choose from in black and white. So this was 1942. Jimmy Cagney won the Best Actor Oscar, and it's the story of George M. Cohan, which I don't know how much his music has crossed the pond, but it's a lot of songs that we grew up with that we probably don't realize were all written by George M. Cohan, probably in the early 1900s, like I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy, and it's a grand old flag, it's a high flying flag. And the anthem for World War I was over there, send the word to beware. Those are all George M. Cohan songs. And so he tells this story, and it's really flag waving, over the top, patriotic, but it's just Jimmy Cagney. He was a dancer first. He was a tap dancer before the gangster movies, and he gets to do these fabulous tap dancing numbers, and it's just a joyful and fun movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the clips of him singing Yankee Doodle Dandy. He definitely had a style all of his own in his dancing.
That's a great vocalist.
Yeah.
Great vocalist. More like the Rex Harrison speaking the songs.
That's right.
Cool.
Very good. Very good. I've never seen the movie all the way through. I've just, like I say, seen the clips. But
the same as me. I've only ever seen the clips of that one.
Another one to add to the list.
Cagney movies, right? I hope you've seen Jimmy Cagney movies.
Yeah, White Heat is one,
That's
isn't it?
That's the classic one.
The classic one, yeah. Go on then, Neil. You're number 9. You're number 8.
So this, I sometimes keep looking at this list and thinking I should shove it up further in the list. It's 12 Angry Men.
12 Angry Men. Oh, that no.
And I'm a huge fan of this. And again, it's as relevant today, especially with the court hearings we've got going on as we record this. I love the fact that one single opinion can change a whole mindset, and this points that out and works that out absolutely fantastically. Now, I did see it on stage, but not with anybody of any clout. I didn't see it in the West End. I saw it on a touring production. Still very, very good. But I find it grips you. Every time I watch it, I'm invested into seeing how this one persuasive little argument changes a whole wrath of things. And everybody in it is so good. So good. I did watch the William Friedkin remake that was made for TV, and it's all right. You get the basic premise, but why have Pepsi when you can have cola, really, isn't it?
Who's in the remake? I don't think I've seen the.
Who is in it? Scott Baio, I remember. What's the guy from Quantum Leap? He was in it.
Oh, Scott Bakula.
Yeah, I'm sure he was in it.
Or Dean Stockwell.
Now my mind's going blank. I think Jack Lemmon's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jack Lemmon was in it.
You got Jack Lemmon, George C. Scott, Ozzie Davis, Courtney B. Vance, James Gandolfini, Tony Danza.
My gosh.
Wow. It was Tony Danza, not Scott Baio, wasn't it?
Yeah. Bubba from Forrest Gump.
But that Chachi was in it, but
yeah,
Tony Danza's a surprise too.
It was Tony Danza. Yeah. William Peterson, Edward James Olmos, Mary McDonnell.
Yeah.
So it was a star-studded cast.
It was, but it was made for TV, and it was okay. It was watchable, and it had the same premise of the story, but it just didn't have the impact that the original had. It just, every time, like I say, I watch it, I get so invested in seeing how this whole trickle works its way down and changes everything. You go from one person disagreeing for the unanimous vote right through to everybody. I would recommend, if anybody has never watched that movie, to get their butts into gear and watch it.
Yeah. It's funny because I mentioned to my parents that I was doing this today, and I wouldn't say Dad's like a big movie guy. And I said, yeah, I've been have a hard time coming up with this list. And he's like, 12 Angry Men? Is 12 Angry Men on your list? No, Dad, it's not. That was the first thing he thought of. So that's funny.
Yeah, it was close. It was close to my list. I think I had it in my 10 and then I took it out. Yeah. I'm just double checking that it isn't further. No, it isn't further on up in my list. I just want to make sure. But yeah, it's a great one. And also you can feel the tension in the room, but because it's a hot and sweaty room, isn't it? And everybody is slowly simmering and building. Yeah, it's a fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Elia Kazan direct? I can't remember who directed it.
Wasn't it Lumet, Sydney?
It was Sidney Lumet. Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember Henry Fonda. I mean, I should remember more of the cast, but that's all I can picture.
Yeah, Henry Fonda, Lee J. Cobb, Martin Balsam, John Fielder, E.G. Marshall, Jack Klugman, Quincy, Jack Warden, Ed Begley. I'm assuming that's Ed Begley's
dad.
There you go.
I was going to say, obviously his name is Ed Begley Jr., so there must be an Ed Begley. I wouldn't... Doesn't take much working out, does it?
An awful of Rita said, no, that wasn't his dad.
No, yeah.
Just coincidence.
No relation.
You learn what a coincidence that would be, wouldn't it? If your name's Ed Begley and you're not Ed Begley Jr.'s dad, I mean. Right, my number 8 is, I'm sure, something that's going to be higher on one of yours list is Dr. Strangelove. Higher on any?
I had to knock it out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not because I wanted to. I'm a huge fan of this movie as well. But
I think, would you say that it's Kubrick's most accessible movie?
No, I think Spartacus is, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yes, it's got to be up there. I think Sellers has never been better.
Oh, absolutely. In whichever role that you've got.
Yeah, whichever role
to do.
And it's so funny, isn't it? So funny.
And I can't remember the name. Is it Slim Pickens?
Slim Pickens, what, on the bomb?
Riding the bomb at the end.
Well, of course, that's been parodied how many times now, isn't it?
That's the thing. That's the thing. There's so many of the movies in my top 10 where you've got so many moments like The Simpsons have picked through, and Naked Gun and Airplane and all these they've just picked Hot Shots. All these have picked through the movies and taken all the best scenes out of. But for me, Doctor Strangelove is I think my favorite Kubrick movie.
Right.
Just for the fact that it's very rare that you see someone like that doing comedy.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the blackest of comedies, but it's funny but scary at the same time, because you know that there are people in rooms that are exactly like that this very moment in history, and that's the frightening thing. And it's just it just shines the light on how the people in power act, and how the people in power have just got just one tiny little flip, and that's it. It's curtains for everybody.
But everybody's performance in that, we'll go back to performing, is so good. As well. All the, it's surrounding themselves, because it couldn't have been easy to film. It couldn't have been. And especially with Kubrick behind the camera would have made it even more technical and probably impossible. But
yeah.
And who knew Kubrick could do comedy so well?
Exactly. I would love to have known what Kubrick and Peter Sellers' relationship was.
Well, if you read the daughter's biography, it's not, it doesn't glean too much, but it doesn't come out as if it sounded like it was the best of friends.
Right. Yeah, you could sort of imagine.
Yeah, both difficult people, aren't they?
Yeah.
So.
Maybe that's what it is. Two minuses make a positive.
Yeah, opposites.
I don't think that makes any sense. I don't think it does. Okay, Jen, you're number 7, please.
Well, I think you mentioned it before, and I've had this book since high school, but It's a Wonderful Life.
That's my number 3.
Yeah. So 1946, Frank Capra, of course, the great Jimmy Stewart. But that's if that's on, I've watched it so many times I could probably do all the dialogue.
Hello, movie house. Hello, old building and loan. It's just the sweetest, most darling thing. And it wasn't a big success when it came out. Because it gets pretty dark, and people were coming home from the war and did not want to see that. I think The Best Years of Our Lives was the big movie that year that won a lot of the awards. And if you've ever seen that, like what was going on in America at that time, that makes more sense. So this wasn't, it was kind of forgotten that the critics liked it, but that was about it. So, but now you can see it anywhere because the copyright lapsed. That's right.
So, yeah. So now, that's why it's on all the time. Yes. So lucky us.
Indeed. Now we've spoken about this movie at length on our Christmas movies episode with Ali McKay. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, without a doubt. I'd put it on whether it's Christmas or not. I think it's just a beautiful movie. Neil?
Oh, I'll talk about it.
Okay. Okay. What's your number 7 then, Neil?
So it's another Jimmy Stewart film, and it's Harvey. Not many people have seen this, I know.
Oh, no. Yep.
Yeah, it's basically... Sorry?
Harvey's a puka.
Yeah, that's it. It's basically a guy who's got an imaginary friend of a 6-foot rabbit. As crazy as that sounds, Jimmy Stewart's performance makes you believe in the end. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's funny. It's moving. It has everything you could possibly want out of a sweet comedy like that. And I love it. And I went to see it on stage, and my mind recalled, I forget who played the lead role, in the West End. And again, you started to believe yourself there was this 6-foot rabbit walking around with him. I mean, it's not a Donnie Darko style rabbit. Let's put that out there for anybody listening modern. It's a bit more warm and heartwarming a thing. But I would highly recommend anybody to see it. I mean, that is basically the premise, is a guy that has a friend of a 6-foot rabbit. Right. Imaginary or not, you tell me once you watch it. But and
everyone around him thinks Aren't they trying to get him to the asylum?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And yeah,
I've never seen it.
Oh,
I'll tell you what. The only
you it on Blu-ray, pal.
I've got nothing to play it on. I sold it on PlayStation. No. Anyway, the only clip I've seen of that is that there's a clip of that on the TV in Field of Dreams that Kevin Costner's daughter is watching with Jimmy Stewart. That's the only clip I've seen of that. But a lot of people mentioned Harvey, so I need to find that one out.
It's a wonderful, like I said, funny and heartwarming story. It really is, and it's. Jimmy Stewart, I mean, we forget what a great actor that man really was. We really do. I mean, he isn't mentioned enough as one of the greats, and I think he is.
Yeah. He was, when I lived in LA, I sang in the choir at Beverly Hills Presbyterian Church right on Rodeo Drive, and that had been Jimmy Stewart's church. Not when I was there, obviously, but they would tell, so he read at the Christmas time, he read the Nativity passage, and I mean, I just being in the same place thinking about him there was really cool. Yeah.
They're the sort of stories, aren't they? I mean, I think people don't realize that, like, the classic Hollywood stars, it was obviously a different time because they didn't have camera phones shoved in their faces all the time. They could get away with a lot more, but they were also, like I said in the intro, mysterious, because the only time you saw them were on the silver screen.
Or on the Oscars.
Oscars.
It was like the Oscars were much more magical because that was really the only time we saw them.
Yeah.
Out in the world.
That's why I remember watching things. We've got we had an interviewer called Michael Parkinson on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And he would sometimes get, say, a Jimmy Stewart or a Bob Hope, and that was the only time you saw them talking in real life.
Right.
And you think, oh my God, they are actual human beings. Whereas now everybody is classed on, the mystery is just gone.
Yeah.
Right.
You see everybody's warts and all,
Yeah.
In every courtroom these days now, like Neil said earlier on. Okay. So my number 7 was a film I came to very, very late, but it's an all-time classic, is Citizen Kane.
So that's my number 4.
That's your number 4. I can remember watching that shot of Citizen of when it's like above and he's standing on all the newspapers.
Yeah.
For years, I thought that was Bob Hope. For years, I didn't realize Bob Hope was in Citizen Kane. That doesn't seem like the right sort of movie for him to be in. Because if you look at it, he looks like Bob Hope.
And it's the only scene he's in. That's so weird.
Why is he standing on a load of newspapers, looking up at the camera and not making a joke? That's just crazy. And then the first time, I guarantee, I knew that he wasn't in the movie, but the first time I watched it, I was waiting for there to be like a cameo of Bob Hope. Even then, I knew he wasn't in it.
Wow.
But it broke down the barriers of how movies were made.
Absolutely.
The setup of shots, the
narrative, it changed everything. Yeah.
the way that shots were composited and bleeding into each other.
And the nonlinear storytelling and the different points of view.
It was it's an absolute masterclass, and the fact he was so young and did everything.
I know.
Is just crazy, and it's a pretty good story as well.
So I think it's a great story. It's a great film. I mean, it gets you straight away, doesn't it? It hooks you in. It reels you straight in. But it's wonder, and it doesn't apologize for taking its time, which is what I like. I really like that. It's everything is there, and the fact that the twist. I mean, hey, we should all know now that
the whole rosebud of it all.
It shows that the man is human.
Yeah.
He wasn't this monster and mogul tycoon, whatever. It just, it's beautiful. It's great movie. Great movie.
Yeah, there are certain movies that are good that they're not. I mean, The Hateful Eight is one that is, and I've said it before, unapologetically slow.
Yeah.
And it's great that it builds and builds and builds, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some movies feel like 3 hours long when they're not. Yeah. That's the ones that are bad. It's the ones that are like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and they just are slow, but they feel they should be.
Yeah.
They take their time.
It pained me not to put it on the list pained me. It was very difficult.
Yeah.
I feel your pain, Jen.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah.
Because there's loads that should be on the list. It should be a top 100.
Go on then, Jen, your number 6, please.
Okay. I don't know if these are popular in the UK or not, but I went with 1934's The Thin Man because I love William Powell. I realized the last time I moved, I was packing up all my DVDs. I own 9 William Powell movies.
Okay.
And this is based, do you guys know, they made 6 of these Thin Man movies.
I don't think I've seen them.
Okay, this 1934. They're based on the Dashiell Hammett book. But so this is the only one that's based on the book. And then they just made up. They were so popular, but it's William Powell, Myrna Loy, Nick and Nora Charles, and their dog Asta, and he is this detective. And there's just their banter, and it was like a married couple no one had ever seen. Like they're totally equally matched. They're very funny. You can tell they're crazy about each other, but they tease each other, and the dialogue's really fun. And I always thought the element of, so he's this famous private detective. It's one of those worlds where everybody knows who this private detective is. Like when you watch Agatha Christie, like everyone knows.
Or James Bond. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's so funny because the criminals that he put away always come up to him like, "Hey, Nick, good to see you." Like they're cooking. You got me that one time. And the chemistry between the two of them is so incredible. Most people thought they were married in real life.
Oh, right.
Yes. And this first one was shot in like 12 days. Really, yeah, which is insane. But yeah, I love William Powell. And you've never, no movie makes alcoholism look more enchanting and fun.
Sold.
Like, the drinking in these movies are crazy, but yes, very funny.
Okay.
So that's
another one. So what is it? Is it a comedy? Is it?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right.
I mean, it's the only Dashiell Hammett because is he Maltese Falcon? Yeah, so he was like the thrillers, and this is probably his most lighthearted book.
Right.
So, yeah, but no, it's only 91 minutes. Track it down. You will enjoy it. I promise.
Done and done. Okay, Neil, your number 6 then, please.
So it's League of Gentlemen. Now, this is a British movie, so you may not be aware of it, Jen. It's a heist, a robbery movie where they want to rob a bank and they all get together. It features a very early and young Oliver Reed. It's got Richard Attenborough in. It's got Jack Hawkins in the main role. But it's the precedent where they started these sort of showing you how they were going to do it. So a bit Ocean's 11, bit sort of that. It's one of those. And I would urge anybody to seek it out because you'll see where it all started. It starts quite slow, but once you get in through the first sort of 10-15 minutes, you're hooked and you're in. You want to see whether they can do it, how they're going to do it, how they're going to get into this bank and rob it, and it shows you step by step exactly what they're going to do. And I would urge you to check it out. I really would.
What year is it?
I think it's 1960, but I may be wrong.
It is 1960. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. It's a great movie. Like I said, it's the start of these sort of these robbery movies where it shows you what they're going to do, and then you sort of work out how they're going to do it, and then you see the actual thing at the end. And do they do it or don't they? I'll leave it to you to find out. It's fantastic.
Richard Attenborough as well.
Yeah, he's great in it. He really is.
No, I'll track that one down for sure.
I've never heard of that one before.
Have you not?
I've not. No.
Oliver Reed plays the guy from the upstairs dance where they meet in these sort of rehearsal rooms, and upstairs there's a dance rehearsal room and he comes down. So he plays a very camp dancer, Oliver Reed.
Does he? He's not listed on the...
No, it's a very, very minor role. It's one of his first ever roles.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Nanette Newman's in it as well. Very young.
Yeah.
Yeah, very young Nanette Newman.
Wow.
But yeah, I highly recommend getting it or finding it, seeking it out and watching it. It really is worth it. It's just a 90-minute joyous ride.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds fun for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like a 90-minute joyous ride. I should ding the bell for that one.
Christ, 90 minutes.
Okay. My number 6, another absolute classic, Casablanca.
Oh, that's my number 5.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
And again, I came to this one really, really late. And I hang my head in shame for that fact because I class myself as a movie buff. And the one thing I think I've got this week off. I think I'm just going to binge black and white movies. I think I just need to. The first time I watched it, I was engrossed, absolutely engrossed, not just in the story, but in Humphrey Bogart's performance. I just watched it like, oh, why have I not watched this like 20 years ago? It's just an amazing, amazing movie. Again, it's got those play it, Sam. Here's looking at you, kid. The whole you and me, nothing like on the hill of beans or whatever it is, which is what Naked Gun, Frank Drebin says to his lover at the end.
Right.
Like, again, you don't realize that. I watched Naked Gun, I watched NakedGun loads of times, never watched Casablanca. As soon as I watched Casablanca, you go, that's where they took that bit from.
It almost seems cliche, Casablanca, because you don't, it's like that was where it came from. But like watching it, like, well, they're just ripping. No, that was where it all started.
And that's the beauty of it. That's the I mean, I know it wasn't a classic black and white, but watching like The Breakfast Club, and there's so many things in there, you think, oh my God, that's where, again, it's like The Simpsons is one of the main ones. They took that bit from that.
Right.
And it's beautiful that you can look at those things, but like you say, you end up going, oh my God, Casablanca ripped that bit off from Naked Gun, whereas obviously the other way around.
Right.
So when I first watched Casablanca, I found I didn't enjoy it the very first time. I think I was too young.
Right.
And so I sort of avoided it for years. And then I thought, no, everybody keeps banging on that it's great. And I was almost the asshole that was saying, it's not as good as you think. And then eventually I got to watch it again and suddenly thought, how wrong am I?
Yeah.
How wrong
No, I'm still in that camp, but I've tried it a couple of times and it doesn't grab me. Like I sort of watch it like, okay, I should like this more. And I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll wait a few years and try it again.
Yeah. I just think that the performance, especially the bit at the end when Humphrey, is it Ingrid Bergman, isn't it?
Yeah.
When he's saying goodbye to her at the end, it's heartbreaking. Absolutely. But we'll always have Paris. Oh my God. Oh dear. Get the tissues. So that's my number 6. Was that number 6? Yes. So Jen, we need your number 5 then, please.
Oh gosh, halfway through. I another iconic with a lot of quotes that you probably don't realize came from All About Eve.
Eve.
So written and directed by Joseph Mankiewicz, of course, starring Betty Davis, Anne Baxter, Celeste Holm. The dialogue is delicious. Like it's so, you watch it like, I wish I could talk like that. I wish I could insult people like that. Fabulous Edith Head did the costumes. It won Best Director, Best Writing, Best Costume, Best Supporting Actor. Oh, George Sanders, who's just Addison DeWitt in this one. Very, very young Marilyn Monroe shows up and has a couple of scenes. And it's just, I mean, watch it again. It makes me, all the ladies have these fabulous fur coats on, which I would never get a fur coat. I mean, my God, it's horrifying. But you watch, I'm like, oh no, those fur coats look really nice. Wrapped in them in all these scenes, they're just fur over their shoulders. And like the Edith headdress has like fur trim on it. And yeah, it's, oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, there was definitely an elegance with women in sort of like the 40s and the 50s, wasn't there?
Yeah, 1950.
Yeah. It's I have seen this, but it was a long time ago. And
fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
That's it. And that was one thing about was it Betty Davis.
Betty Davis, yeah.
She had that aura about her, but she also looked like someone that she wouldn't take no shit off anybody, would she? In real life and in the movies, she seemed to be very.
And the whole point of this
steadfast.
story is that she's this aging actress, and they just go on how old she is and how old she is, and she's 40.
Oh God, let's move on quick, shall we? He is the old, oh dear. Neil, you said for number 5, Casablanca.
Yep.
My number 5 is Sons of the Desert, Laurel and Hardy. Anybody that knows me knows I am a massive Laurel and Hardy fan. I listen to a lot of American podcasts, and you might be able to answer this, Jen. They tend to talk about people like Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin and the Three Stooges and obviously the Marx Brothers, but they always seem to leave Laurel and Hardy out when they're talking. Are they not regarded that highly in the US?
I wouldn't say that. I think most people know who they are. Like if you showed pictures, I think people could identify, but like I probably couldn't name one of the movies.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm familiar with them. Well, were they both British?
No, Stan Laurel.
Stan Laurel's British. Okay. Yeah. I don't know why. I mean, I know the story. There's that story about Dick Van Dyke when he was a young actor or whatever, and he came to Hollywood, and Stan Laurel was his idol.
Yeah.
And back then you had phone books.
Yeah.
And he looked it up, and Laurel Stan was in there, and he called.
Yeah.
And he answered.
That's right.
he met his idol. He just, So that's cool. But yeah, I don't know them as well as I should.
Yeah.
I admit.
Yeah. I mean, Sons of the Desert, I think the official fan club is called the Sons of the Desert. And I can remember, and each country or each region is named after a specific Laurel and Hardy movie or short. And I was a member of the British one for a while and went to one of their conventions. And the conventions all start exactly like the movie. They all sing the Sons of the Desert song, and some of them have got their little fezzes on. And me and my brother went the first time, and we hadn't an idea what was going on, and we thought, what have we let ourselves in for? You've got all grown men with fezzes on, and they're all singing. It was like a cult. It was a little bit unsettling to start with, but once you got into it and realized that everybody was just there because they loved Laurel. I've been brought up on Laurel and Hardy for all my life. One of the first things I can remember was watching Trail of the Lonesome Pine and singing along to stuff like that. So it had to be in my top 10, and Sons of the Desert as one of the feature-length movies is definitely one of my favorites. It's just weird. I think they tend to get forgotten as like comedy greats with the people like the Three Stooges and the Marx Brothers. But for me, I find them funnier than like Chaplin and Buster Keaton, without a shadow of a doubt.
I agree with you on that one.
Did they start in silence? I can't remember. Or were they always?
Yeah, they started in silent movies.
Yeah, they started in silent. I mean, like Charlie. The story was that Stan Laurel came over on the same boat as Charlie Chaplin.
They were in Fred Carno's mob, weren't they?
That's right.
Together, weren't they?
That's right. Yeah, and then they worked separately, and then they were brought together, and then they worked separately again, and then came together as Laurel and Hardy. So the rest, as they say, is history. Okay, so that was my number 5. Jen, you said The Third Man was your number 4.
Yes.
Neil, you said Citizen Kane was your number 4.
It certainly was.
My number 4 was one that just sneaked in, 1964, and it's A Hard Day's Night with the Beatles. Okay. I remember watching this for the first time. I didn't realize quite how funny it was and how natural the Beatles were as actors. And there's some hilarious moments with Wilfred Bramble in it. The bit that always gets me is when they're running away from the fans and George Harrison falls over. And I'm surprised he never smashed his like wrist to smithereens, because he goes absolutely flying. But John Lennon and Paul McCartney show a real good, their timing for the comedy is absolutely fantastic. And some great, I think this is the best Beatles movie. I think it beats Help and Yellow Submarine without a shadow of a doubt.
And in 1964, they were, it was like right at the beginning of their career that they did this movie then, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose. I mean, they were getting into being movie.
Super fan. Super
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, but it is
Yeah.
just, I mean, it basically is a very thinly veiled story just to be able to get them to sing songs on the screen. That's what they need it for. It's like just music videos tapped together with a little through line of, I think it's supposed to be Paul McCartney's dad, is it? Or granddad is Wilfred Bramble,
Yeah,
I think.
the granddad, isn't it?
The granddad. But it is just, it's so funny. It is so good. It is great to see the Beatles in their infancy, if you like, before I mean, then again, you look at it and it's 6 years later and they were done. They were finished. So, you know, have you seen
so much in a short time?
Indeed. Have you seen the Get Back documentary, Jen?
No, what is it, 7 hours? I'm like, oh, I mean, obviously I don't want to watch it all at once, but yeah, it's on my list.
Yeah,
you'll
I know
enjoy it.
Everyone just raves about it. So yeah, I have to get around to it.
Yeah, it's quite emotional, I must admit, whether you're a big Beatles fan or not, to see them imploding a little bit, but sort of getting it back. It's fantastic. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, that was my number 4. So Jen, your number 3, please.
Okay. My roommates and I in school, we used to quote this constantly. I had this movie poster up in my room, and it's boop boop be doo. Some Like It Hot, 1950, Billy Wilder. This was, I had to have a Billy Wilder movie on here, and it was so hard to pick one, but this one is, Jack Lemmon's performance still makes me crack up. He's so good in this. Yeah, so it's so great. It's so great. Everything about it. So
and so funny. It's another one again that just stands the test of time with the
oh my gosh.
As well.
Oh yeah. And we just, like I said, we would just walk around like watching it recently, I'm like, wow, I really remember a lot of the dialogue. But that was tough picking just one Billy Wilder. I mean, Sunset Boulevard, it was like I almost had to flip a coin between Sunset Boulevard and Some Like It Hot.
Yeah. Okay, Neil, your number 3 then, please.
So I've gone for a Laurel and Hardy film. And I've gone for Way Out West.
That's my number 2.
Hey, which I think is for their standalone motion pictures, you know, they're full length, even though they're only just over an hour.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It includes, like you said, Trail of the Lonesome Pine. We obviously have an affinity with the dance.
That's right. Yeah, we performed the dance live on one of our live podcast shows, Jen.
We did.
We rehearsed for months. Well, maybe not months, but it was so much fun to do.
Well, it felt like months. It was harder than we thought, wasn't it, to learn it?
It was so good though. It was much fun.
We'll have to bring it. We'll have to dust it off and bring it back.
I know. Where is that?
Maybe that was the thing. Nobody ever filmed it. That was the thing.
Yeah, we were shocked because the other shows people had filmed the opening, and we thought, we'll get to see ourselves, and nobody had filmed it.
Oh, bring it back.
Yeah,
we will.
I thought Trail of the Lonesome Pine was a novel that was not funny. I don't think it's a funny book, but is there?
It's just the song on the Blue Ridge Mountain.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. It's just the two of them in a bar, and Oliver Hardy starts singing it, and then Stan Laurel sings a little bit, and hilarity ensues with mallets banged on heads, and it's a great. And then you got James Finlayson, who is he's the prototype of the dough from Homer Simpson. He's the guy that used to did the original dough. That's where they got the dough from, apparently. That's where that came from. But it's fantastic. And the scene where I think it's the deeds to a gold mine or something, isn't it? And Stan Laurel shoves it in his shirt and ends up getting tickled and just starts laughing.
It goes riotous at the end, running around the bedroom. But that's what it's all about.
It's fantastic.
But it has great little moments, where he's constantly with his thumb.
That's right, with the thumb, and it turns into a lighter. Yeah,
a lighter going across the river.
That's right.
Where it's deep.
I have to do my own little Laurel and Hardy fest. I feel I'm very lacking. So I don't know what stuff's online, but
Yeah, I don't think there is. I think you can on YouTube. You can watch a few of them. I think Way Out West might be on YouTube.
Well, I still use my library, my local library.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I can go and search, and they'll send it from the other branches. So I'll just get them. I'll just get a stack.
Yeah,
out.
dude,
if you get there's some of their shorts, things like Brats and Helpmates, are some of the funny. I mean, I still absolutely wet myself laughing at some of the things, and I've watched them, like I say, probably 4 or 5 when I first started watching Laurel and Hardy, and it still makes me laugh. One of the most sweetest things, my youngest granddaughter, there's a song that's in Brats that Oliver Hardy sings to his children to try and get them to go to sleep, and my daughter had started playing it to my granddaughter. And so the next time I went and saw her, I gave her a cuddle and I started singing that song to her, and she put her head on my shoulder and went to sleep. Aww. It was one of the sweetest things. I absolutely melted. I've got it. I put it on. Somebody filmed it and sent it to me. That was with us. Aww. It doesn't work now. She's got a little bit too old, and she thinks, no, that shit doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. How old were the grandkids when you started introducing them to Laurel and Hardy? Like. Infants.
That's the thing.
My children were from infants. I can tell you.
You've got to. It's because I think it's like a cartoon. If you can get them through the fact that it's black and white,
right?
It's like Tom and Jerry. It's it's like Itchy and Scratchy. It's two people smacking the crap out of each other for comedy effect.
Right.
And that's the best thing about it. That's what my other grandson loves it when they're fighting. He just starts laughing because he finds it so funny.
Okay.
But it's definitely worth it without a doubt. Right, my number 3 was It's a Wonderful Life. So we've already talked about that. So Jen, your number 2 then, please.
Okay. This is 1946. Rita Hayworth, Glenn Ford, Gilda.
Ooh.
You guys know this one?
It's been a long time.
I don't know. I don't know this one.
Oh,
my grandmother loved this movie.
Yes. I love Rita Hayworth. I just find her, and she's never looked more beautiful than she does in this movie. And I remember seeing it, God, how long ago? And everything about her, I'm like, I wish I had that hair, and I wish I had that, like everything about her. I'm like, why can't I walk like that? Or how can I be more like Rita Hayworth? I'm like, there's no way I could be like Rita Hayworth. And one of the most iconic dresses in history, in cinematic history, this black dress designed by Jean-Louis. And the plot makes no sense. I remember trying to watch it with my friend. He's like, I don't understand what's going on. I'm like, doesn't matter. it's there's something about a tungsten cartel, and who knows. It's about this love-hate relationship between Glenn Ford and Rita Hayworth, and it's so intense. Their hatred for each other, but at the same time, you can tell they just want to tear each other's clothes off, and it's very film noir, like all the lighting and the shadows and yeah, I can watch it. I mean, I have watched it over and over and over again. And I found her life was so messed up. I mean, I think her life was very sad. And she was married to Orson Welles when she filmed this. And that marriage was toxic, to say the least. But she grew up, she was a dancer as from a very young child. Her father was a dancer, and she was dragged into dancing with him when she was like 11, 12 years old, like to support the family. So when she dances, it seems like the only time you can just see that she's happy, because she wasn't a great actress. I mean, I'll be the first one to say that, but when she dances, there's joy on her face. And I just love that movie. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a Rita Hayworth movie. It's one of those names that whenever you see anything about classic Hollywood,
Yes.
Rita Hayworth is one of those names that goes with Joan Crawford and Betty
Right.
Davis and people like that. But I don't think I've ever seen. What other movies did she do?
Well, she was a big star at Columbia Studios. Gosh, now I'm gonna blank on it. She started like Strawberry Blonde was a movie she did with Jimmy Cagney. She did a movie called Pal Joey with Frank Sinatra and Kim Novak. Again, she played like the old washed up woman. She was like 42 or whatever. She was actually the same age as Frank Sinatra in the movie.
Oh, right.
The young stud. Again, Jean-Louis gowns that are fabulous. She was Salome in a movie. She did Blood and Sand with Tyrone Power. Like she was just cast. Gilda she was such a sex symbol in this. They talk about I think one of the atomic bombs they dropped in Japan had they named it, yeah, or the plane or something, like her name was on.
Right.
And I mean, this movie was huge when it came out. And one of her famous quotes was, men go to bed with Gilda, but they wake up with me.
Right. Well,
yeah.
That's a threesome, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, but she was married like 5 times. And she, in the 60s, she started showing very early Alzheimer's, but that wasn't named back then. Like no one knew Alzheimer's one. And people just thought she had a drinking problem.
Oh,
I mean, which she did, but still, so just like the end, towards the end, the dementia was really bad, and she died when she was 67 years old from Alzheimer's. So very sad life, but just absolutely stunning, absolutely gorgeous, a product of the studio system. Like they remade her, like her hair and everything like that. Like she was totally manufactured. I mean, her name was Margarita Cancino, was the name she was born with. So it was back when they just took these women, just like Marilyn Monroe, they just totally made them get plastic surgery and change their hair and all that stuff, and then package them as movie stars. And that's basically what they did to her.
Yeah.
What
a hive of information you are, Jen. This is fantastic. It saves me having to go on IMDb, you see.
I know, I was IMDb before it existed.
There you go. Absolutely. Okay, so that was your number 2. Neil, you said Psycho for your number 2.
Yep.
And I said Way Out West for my number 2. So before we reveal our number 1s, Jen, do you want to give us a countdown of your number 10 to number 2?
Okay. Number 10, M, Fritz Lang. Number 9, To Kill a Mockingbird. Number 8, Yankee Doodle Dandy. Number 7, It's a Wonderful Life. 6, The Thin Man. 5, All About Eve. 4, The Third Man. 3, Some Like It Hot. 2, Gilda.
Wonderful. Neil, your 10 to 2, please.
Absolutely. So at number 10, The Third Man. Number 9, Frankenstein. Number 8, 12 Angry Men. Number 7, Harvey. Number 6, League of Gentlemen. Number 5, Casablanca. Number 4, Citizen Kane. Number 3, Way Out West. And at number 2, Psycho.
Lovely. And mine is number 10, Psycho. Number 9, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. 8, Dr. Strangelove. 7, Citizen Kane. 6, Casablanca. 5, Sons of the Desert. 4, The Hard Day's Night. 3, It's a Wonderful Life. And 2, Way Out West. So, Jen, what is your number 1 classic black and white movie?
This is hard because I love this movie so much and it's so precious. I almost don't want people to know about it.
Oh.
So it is I Know Where I'm Going, 1945. It's Michael Powell, Emmerich Pressburger, and Wendy Hiller and Roger Livesey. And I can't even put into words how much I love this movie.
Okay.
And it doesn't look like you guys know what I'm talking about.
No.
I've not seen it. I'm sorry. There you go. It's a new hidden gem.
Yes. Well, and so you guys know who Michael Powell is, right?
Yeah. Powell and Pressburger. Yeah.
This movie, it's not the red shoes everyone knows, and I love Michael Powell movies. I have Black Narcissus on DVD. I've got Life and Death of Colonel Blimp on DVD. I've got no, I haven't seen Red Shoes for a while, but yeah, I think, but this is a black and white movie. They filmed it during wartime. It's about a young woman who is trying to get to an island off the coast of Oban, and what happens and what keeps her from getting there. And it's a romantic comedy. It was shot on location on the Isle of Mull. And I mean, the black and white photography, it's, oh my gosh, it's just, I mean, that's why the first time I went to Scotland, I'm like, I wanted to go to all these places in the movie, but I went with the group and I got outvoted. So we went to Isle of Skye instead, which was nice, but I still need to get back to see Mull. And Roger Livesey was, if you watch it now, he was doing a play in London because it was, I think it was still during the war, and he couldn't get away. So all the far shots of him, it's a body double, and all his scenes were in a studio in London. While yeah, I know, you would never, I mean, you'd never guess it unless someone told you that.
Yeah.
And there's a scene with a whirlpool. Again, for the special effects for that time period, I get physically sick. Like, I get seasick watching it. It's intense. It's intense. But yeah, it's just, there's just a magical quality to it. Yeah, it's my favorite. It's my favorite. So that's
okay.
Have to check that one out.
Yeah.
I mean, where's the best place to, I mean, I'm assuming places like Turner Classic Movies will be places.
Well, BFI for us, Pav, is very good for stuff like that.
Okay.
Well, that's, I mean, as you see, a lot of these on my list, I already owned.
Right. Yeah.
And that was how I narrowed the list down. I'm like, well, if I made the point of buying this at some point, it had to have been significant, because I wouldn't say I have a huge collection of DVDs. And I know you got rid of all yours.
Yeah, I did. I
couldn't. I mean, I'm the only one I know that still has a DVD player, but
oh no, I'll join you with that, Jen.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I've got a DVD player and a Blu-ray player because I've got DVDs I just can't get rid of, and you can't get on Blu-ray.
I still have a couple VHS tapes somewhere that, yeah, I don't have a player, but just in case.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's another one to add to the list without a doubt.
I don't know where you'd find I mean, like I said, I still use the library. That, so that's where you can track stuff down.
Yeah. We'll give it a go. Go on then, Neil. I think I know what this one is, but
I think we had alluded to it before. So my number one is It's a Wonderful Life. What is there to say about it that's not already been said? We've said it in so many of the podcasts, but to me, it is the ultimate feel-good film. It takes you to the dark places and brings you back out the other side feeling a lot better about yourself and a lot better for George. I think it's just a magical film, and I hope they never ever remake it. I know there's been talk for years that they were going to try and do another version of, and leave it alone. It's perfect.
I remember when they colorized it back when they were doing
yes, and that was at one stage the only way we could get it in this country. But yes, the bastardized version, I always call it. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody's great in it. It's a lovely, lovely film. I showed it to my kids when they were probably no older than 10 or 11, and they fell in love with it as well. So I know that it hits all age groups. It's just wonderful. Wonderful. There you go.
Wonderful.
It's a wonderful film.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's not my number one though, obviously. It's that was number 3 for me. My number 1, Jen has mentioned it, I think. Yes, I don't think Neil did. No, but Jen did. Jen's number 3, and it is Some Like It Hot. I don't think that anybody that's been in it was better in any other movie. Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis together. I don't understand why they didn't make more movies together.
Yeah,
as a double act, because they work so well together. Marilyn Monroe just looks gorgeous in the whole movie. That dress that she wears when she goes on the boat with Tony Curtis. Well,
Ori Kelly was the designer. I think they won the Oscar for.
Really? I
Yeah.
mean, she almost wears it, I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
Really.
doesn't leave a lot to the imagination, that dress.
Yeah.
So here's a question then. If they remade that movie, who would you cast as the Tony Curtis? Because I think that if I'm right in thinking, they were thinking of remaking it back in the 80s, and it was going to be Mick Jagger and David Bowie that were going to be
remember that. Yeah, they did talk.
They were talking about it. See, now I could see Tom Hanks in the Tony Curtis role.
Well,
Maybe
he
obviously
he did that show.
Sorry,
he did Bosom Buddies in the 80s.
Right.
Oh yeah, he did.
When he dressed up like a woman with Peter Scolari. I remember that show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks with George Clooney.
What, George Clooney as the Jack Lemmon character?
Maybe, yeah. Don't forget he's older.
Yeah, but well, I'm saying Tom Hanks have to be a little bit younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think George Clooney is sort of zany enough.
I think that's what makes it so great, because Jack Lemmon just goes for it.
Yeah.
And as great as Tony is, there's still like a stiffness, like a little bit of like, I feel weird dressing up like a woman, like the whole time, where Jack just, oh my gosh. Like when he comes in, when they've been in drag for like 5 minutes and they walk into the train and they're like, oh, take off your corset and spread out. It's like, oh my dear, I hardly ever wear one. I have the best seamstress. And he just goes up with this thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he's so good.
When he comes back from dancing with, I can't remember the name of the guy that he's going to get married
George
to.
O'Brien, Osgood Fielding.
That's right. He goes, oh, you're going to get married. Who's the lucky girl? I am.
Yeah.
I'm engaged. We're planning a spring wedding.
And then Tony Curtis is doing
approval, but I'm not worried because I don't smoke.
That's Tony Curtis doing his best Cary Grant impersonation as the oil baron. It's just fantastic. And one of the greatest finishing lines to a movie ever.
Yes,
he's like, I'm a man. Well, nobody's perfect.
Yes.
It's got everything. Some great songs.
Boop-boopy-doop.
It's got that bit on there as well.
Yes. Yes.
It's fantastic. It's just
I know. And apparently Marilyn it was very difficult working with her. She was going through a lot, and to still get that performance and still to wind up with that movie is still just, it's remarkable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's our, and so we're an hour and 18 in. So for the next hour and 18 minutes, I'm going to go through our honorable mentions. Let's just run through these. So Christine Hillary said It's a Wonderful Life. At Jen Lott Howard said, Some Like It Hot, The Thin Man, Citizen Kane, The Music Box. No, isn't that the Laurel Hardy one? Music Box?
Well, it could be.
Dinner at 8, The Philadelphia Story, Harvey, It's a Wonderful Life, Holiday, All About Eve, Arsenic and Old Lace, Duck Soup, Holiday Inn, Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House.
Yeah.
Almost had it.
Jen knows that one. The Bishop's Wife. She said I could go on and on.
Listen to all the Cary Grant movies.
Right. So she says I could go on and on for days. Then she says Rebecca, Casablanca, 42nd Street, Libeled Lady, and many classics.
That's William Powell, Myrna Loy.
Okay. At Helen L. O'Hara, who is a future guest. His Girl Friday, The Apartment, Piccadilly, The General, Some Like It Hot, Casablanca, The Lady Eve, off the top of my head. At Paul Bangson said, that's a great list about Helen's, and said Third Man also for me. At Doug_W_S said It's a Wonderful Life. At J_Kid17, 12 Angry Men, Double Indemnity, Casablanca, Persona, Rocco and His Brothers, and Circos. I've never heard of those ones. Okay. At Bookshelves of BL says Night of the Demon, The Thing from Another World, Abu de Souffle, It's a Wonderful Life, Citizen Kane, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Some Like It Hot, The Day the Earth Stood Still, Psycho, and Seven Samurai. That's one film I've never seen, is Seven Samurai, but I feel I should.
Movie.
Is it?
Movie. Yeah.
Yeah. But isn't that where The Magnificent Seven is based?
It is, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. At Pisces Boys 69. Nice. Silent Films, Intolerance, The Cheat, Broken Blossoms, Foolish Wives, The Cabinet of Dr. Cagliari, The Last Laugh, Faust, Sunrise, Greed, The Wedding March, Scaramouche. Oh, there we go. Jen's got that one.
So close.
Mare Nostrum, Sherlock Jr., The General, The Kid, The Gold Rush, The Circus, City Lights, Modern Times. Then he went into the 30s, and I did have to stop him because I thought, oh my God, he's going to go through it. And he did say, yes, I'm getting a little bit out of hand. So, thank you very much.
1920s movies.
I know. I thought I needed to nip him in the bud there because that was really going to go on. But thank you, Pisces Boys 69, for your awesome name, if anything else. At Roadbud04, Rebecca Notorious, The Heiress, It's a Wonderful Life, Laura, Citizen Kane, Philadelphia Story, All About Eve, The Maltese Falcon, and now Voyager. At Modern Escapism, 12 Angry Men, It's a Wonderful Life, The Train, Sweet Smell of Success, The Mortal Storm, M. We've got one for M. The Lodger, A Story of the London Fog. At E Harris 95 says, I'd add The Lady Vanishes, The 39 Steps, and A Matter of Life and Death to that fine list. At Shane Grant 2, Harvey, one there for you, Neil. Ruggles of Red Gap. Does that sound familiar? His Girl Friday, The General, Modern Times, It's a Wonderful Life, The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, Aikiru, Kind Hearts and Coronets. At Dave Roper 77, Casablanca, His Girl Friday, The Big Sleep, Double Indemnity, and Dr. Strangelove. At Lizzie 3180, agree with many of the above, but additionally for consideration, Marnie, An Affair to Remember, Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy, Barefoot in the Park, The Black Swan, Miracle on 34th Street, Desk Set, Pillow Talk, To Catch a Thief, and That Touch of Mink. Is That Touch of Mink a black and white?
That's Doris Day and Cary Grant. Those were a lot of color movies, I think. But yeah, there were a couple. Yeah, I know those.
Right. At Andy and Why Not Pod, in no particular order. High Noon, The Thing from Another World, Night of the Demon, His Girl Friday, The 39 Steps, The Lady Vanishes, Psycho, Night of the Hunter, Bringing Up Baby, and Duck Soup. Duck Soup is a Marx Brothers movie, isn't it? Yeah. Janine Bender, Duck Soup, Kim Mendes, Some Like It Hot, Emma Housden, Laurel and Hardy, Murder Case. At Badum Da Dum Dum. What a great name that is. At Badum Da Dum Dum. The Haunting, Wizard of Oz, bit of a cheat, and I did say to that. And she said Young Frankenstein, and I did say yes. But the rule, I said you're not allowed that one. I'm sorry. At maybe _ Shirley, Brief Encounter. The voiceover work in this film is sublime. We're nearly there. At Stephen J. Alley, or J. Lally, sorry, Bringing Up Baby, Philadelphia Story, The Apartment, Sunset Boulevard, Great Expectations, Passport to Pimlico, Maltese Falcon, 400 Blows, Cabinet of Dr. Cagliari, M, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, Paths of Glory, and It's a Wonderful Life. Dan Harper says, where do I begin? Key Largo, Little Caesar, Citizen Kane, The Shop Around the Corner. I could do this all day. This is my wheelhouse. Carrie Ogilvie said, Funny Face. At Camo Hill, It's a Wonderful Life, Psycho, Casablanca, Random Harvest, Don't Ask Why. Spellbound, A Hard Day's Night, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Bride of Frankenstein, The Hound of the Baskervilles, and The 39 Steps. And finally, at Dogs on Vinyl, Wages of Fear, Ice Cold and Alex, Lavender Hill Mob, Passport to Pimlico, Murder My Sweet, Key Largo, Night at the Opera, Some Like It Hot, The Apartment, The Big Sleep, Oh, and The Third Man. Wow. Thank you so much, everyone, for all of you.
Yeah, I know. I don't have a Hitchcock on my list. I couldn't. Rebecca was on there and I took it off.
Well, maybe we should just start it all over again, Jen. I think maybe we should just start from the start.
Yeah.
We'll do it again. You can't have the 10 you've already had. We'll go again.
Yeah, maybe that's another top 10 Hitchcock movies is when we'll have to do one.
Oh, cripes!
That would be one. That would be one. Well, Jen, we did it. Thank you so much. Like I say, we've never had that much feedback before for a subject. So thank you so much for that. Now I know where we need to go. If Neil can't find the facts, then Jen will find the facts. She's the one.
Yeah.
I'll be tapping you up, Jen.
Yes, please. No, I get texts random like, who was in such and such movie? And I'm like, I guess I'm quicker than Wikipedia.
There you go. That's no mean feat. No mean feat. Before we do say our goodbyes, Neil, do you want to let everybody know how they can get in touch?
Of course, I would love to. So you can find us on all the social media at Top 10 Pods. Do give us a click, give us a like, give us a follow, or whatever you want to do there. Email us at toptenpods@hotmail.com with any suggestions you may have or questions. Come and help support the podcast at patreon.com/top10pods, where there's all sorts of rewards you can get, where you can even be a guest yourself. Check out all the links via the Linktree. You can find the link in the show notes. And please do come and subscribe. Leave us a rating or review wherever you get your goddamn podcast from.
That's it. And don't forget, there will be for our Patreoners a video playlist to go along with this episode, where we'll have all the trailers for all of these wonderful movies. I'm going to make a list, and I'm just going to spend the next few days just watching classic black and white movies, and just opening my eyes and my ears and my heart.
I envy you because you've got all this joy to come.
Well, this is it, you see. So which would you say is the best movie to start with? Jen, what do you reckon is the best one to start with?
I mean, you didn't see M, right?
No.
Just because it's rough.
Okay.
Do that and then get a comedy.
Okay. Do that one.
I'll say you like a Jimmy Stewart movie. Try Harvey.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll do that as a double feature. I'll do
Philadelphia Story was on my list. You've seen Philadelphia Story, right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I have. Yeah, that's Tom Hanks, isn't it? That one.
Bum.
A little different.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So would that be it? That's a good double feature then. M and Harvey. Do you think that's a good double feature?
One's light. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Do the dark stuff first. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You're going to be like, especially, with your grandkids and stuff. It's,
Okay.
Children under threat is never easy.
No, not at all. Not at all. Jen, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. It really is. You'll come back and do another one, yeah?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Awesome. So, I mean, I feel like the one that we should do is post 1967 black and white movies, or maybe we should try and
do
something
easier.
Maybe we should try and do something maybe completely different for you.
I know. I was such a nerd, like narrowing it down because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to.
I think it was the right thing to do though, because I think it does give us a whole another episode to do post 67, because there are so many movies, the black and white movies that we can do afterwards.
These influenced everything that came after it. Pretty much.
Exactly. But thank you so much, and thank you for your support. Thank you for just being you, Jen. You know, did that work? No, honestly, Jen, thank you so much. It's been loads of fun. It really has. Neil, thank you so much for joining us once again. Thank you for the facts.
Thank you very much, Pav. Thank you very much, Jen. It's been a pleasure and a wonder to see you.
Wonderful.
Thanks. It was so great. This is so much fun. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening and for watching. And let's go start the countdown.
10.